I DNF a lot of books, and one of my favorite things to do is to go and look at the one-star reviews on Goodreads and see just how many people agree with me. So that's what we're doing today. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Fallon. I am 34 years old and I make bookish content here on YouTube. One of my favorite kind of videos to watch here on YouTube is when people read the one-star review of their favorite books. So I figured that we could do that today, just with a twist. I am going to read the one-star reviews on books that I, myself, have DNF'd. I honestly think there's going to be something so validating about reading the reviews of books that I have just deemed not good enough to finish and seeing people agree with me. So here's hoping. Now, obviously this is meant to be like for fun and I'm gonna read funny reviews and stuff like that, but I'm also going to try and incorporate as many like good critiques as I can if it's possible. It was not always possible when I was looking through. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. The first book is Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. This book has a 4.04 rating on Goodreads, which is like wild to me, really wild. I ended up DNFing this book because nothing like was fleshed out enough. Her journey in the beginning of the book was really short and I felt like I wish I had saw more of that. And then there was this like weird language issue where she was coming into contact with people who did not speak the language that she spoke. But because the book was from first person point of view and like we're in her head, on page it was English. So it was weird. The whole thing was weird. So, all right. So the first review says, I cannot believe this book is compared to Throne of Glass and ACOTAR. Wait, is apparently written better. Stairs and Queen of Shadows. I definitely don't think this is written nearly half as good as ACOTAR. I have not read Throne of Glass, but I have read ACOTAR. I did enjoy ACOTAR. And I am just so sorry to say that like this book was nothing compared to the writing of ACOTAR. Yeah. The next one is, holy smokes, I hated this one so much. I'm not able to elaborate further at this point. I need some distance before saying more. I need some distance. That is so funny to me. And the last one is DNF'd at 80% because this was sinfully boring. Not even switching to audiobook could save this one. I'm hella disappointed. I was also hella disappointed. I really was, especially because I read this after reading The Serpent and the Wings of Night, her other series. Daughter of No Worlds is her first series, so she definitely got better as a writer, but it was very disappointing. The next book is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. It has a 4.02 rating on Goodreads, and I disagree with that rating wholeheartedly. I DNF'd this book literally 3/4 of the way through because it was just so boring and so repetitive. And then on top of that, the male main character, who was the love interest, becoming the love interest, he started to become very possessive and overbearing. And I started to notice that he was like infantilizing her, like treating her as if she couldn't do anything, like ride a horse, for instance. Like she did that so naturally, and yet he was all like, well, you gotta do this. And it was just like, it was not fun. So first one-star review is, this is actually 0 stars, but it won't be listed if I put 0. So just so you know, 0. I thought this was going to be a really entertaining read, but I'm giving up. The main character makes no sense whatsoever. We're told that she isn't able to do magic, and then she does magic. Huh? And then we have the vampire sneaking in her window and watching her sleep. Fascinated by her sleeping. Where have I read this before? Let's see. Can anyone think of where I might have read this before? Anyone? The answer is Twilight, by the way. Yeah, that happened in Twilight. No, I agree. Full. Yeah, absolutely. Next one is, well, this was the dumbest shit I've read in quite a while. People are brutal. I don't think I've ever left a really negative review on Goodreads. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it was dumb. It had potential. I was really let down by the fact that I didn't enjoy this book, because it did have potential. The following picture shows how I feel about A Discovery of Witches. And it's just the, it's just the meme. I'll put it up here on the screen if I can. It's so funny. The next book is The Swindler and the Swan by J.A. Good. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling. It has a 3.74 rating on Goodreads, and I don't know how it has that rating. I don't know. I DNF'd this because of the extremely amateur writing, the complete lack in detail in the setting, and just in what the characters were doing. Like at one point, she was sitting on his lap or on the arm of the chair, and then the next she's by the window, but at no point does it say that she moved from the chair to the window. It just goes from that to, I don't know. It was really confusing. And it was way too fast paced. Like no world building, it's just way too fast paced. The first 1-star review says, did not even finish because it's so poorly written. Strings of sentences that don't even connect. It's so bad. 110% agree, my guy. I agree. Interesting concept, hypothetically, but the writing style ends up reading like a Wattpad fan fiction, and the characters are written like teenagers or goddess girl characters. Might be enjoyable for some, but not for me. I would venture to say that this is not even half as good as some of the fan fiction that I have read. I love fan fiction. I still read it to this day, and there are some fan fiction writers that I'm like, you are so talented. This was not that, just saying. And the last review says, DNF. It just wasn't for me. Just wasn't for me either, buddy. The next book, I'm actually very, very, very excited to do this one. When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. This book has a 4.11 rating on Goodreads, so I'm clearly in the minority. I DNF'd this after reading 700 pages because it was just nothing happening. Nothing was happening, really. It had a 20-page glossary, so it was nearly impossible to remember what things were, and I didn't have the physical copy. I was reading it on my Kindle. Do you know how annoying it is to go back and forth on your Kindle trying to get to the glossary? Like it's not fun at all. It was very character driven, just not, I don't know. I didn't enjoy it, wasn't good. The first 1-star review. I have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived. Yes, you have been, and so was I. So was I. 576 pages of frantically flipping through a thesaurus to create this generic fantasy book. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It was very wordy and flowery, but not, I don't know. It wasn't like poetic. It was a lot of words. The next one is so funny. Maul, gravelly, growls. Gravelly growls from my maul. Blah, blah, blah. Funnier than it should be, but it is so true. Oh God, why do fantasy novels do that? Why do they have everybody growl? Oh, I'm gonna cry. It's so funny. Okay, one more for this book, one more. I am so sorry. This book was really bad. It was a DNF and a skim for me. Sad face. I don't have many nice things to say, and I know this is a viral romantasy of the moment, so if you're loving this book, I would look away now. When the Moon Hatched was completely insufferable to me. The writing was insufferable, the FMC was insufferable, the romance was insufferable. I agree. I do. The whole book, it sucked. I don't care what anybody says. The next book is A Not So Meat Cute by Megan Quinn, which has somehow a 4.04 rating on Goodreads. I don't get it. I really, really don't. I DNF'd this because the story was completely unbelievable. On top of that, I'm not a big fan of people pretending to be pregnant. It's not my thing. I don't think I knew that going into the book either. I don't. It's also just literally insta-love. It's marketed as like enemies to lovers, but it's insta-love, like 110%. They hated each other and then they fell in love, but there was no reason to fall in love. It wasn't for me. First review says, a not so cute book. You're right. I wish I could unread this book. I wish that I could unread the parts of this book that I did read. That would be nice. The last one says, I don't know whether to laugh or cry right now. I sort of did both at the same time, because what by the mother of despair did I just read? by the mother of despair. Oh, it's so good. I love People. I do. The next book is My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. I could be pronouncing that wrong. This book has a 3.63 rating on Goodreads. I'm actually surprised the rating isn't higher because this was very popular for a time. I stopped reading this book because it was negatively affecting my mental health. You should really mind your trigger warnings before reading this book. It was a lot, so. I did try, I'm gonna be honest, with these ones, it was difficult because it's such a heavy book, but it's whatever. The first one says, it's rare to both enjoy the writing and the concept for a book and then totally hate the execution. But I don't think that a self-obsessed and sort of traumatized wasp giving catty commentary juxtaposed with the idea of sleeping for a year really worked. I certainly wanted it to, but this left me very empty. I think I'm too dumb to really get this kind of intellectualism. This one, this whole review, yes, absolutely yes, left me very, very empty. The main character was so hard to connect with because of her waspiness, you know? Yeah. Next one. I'll tell you all about it later. I am currently shocked that people read this and had positive feelings. What exactly did they like? I'd like to know. I would like to know, like, what about this did you like? Seriously. This last one, it's so messed up, but it's so true. American Psycho, but the grisly murders have been replaced with a series of naps. Yes. Yes. I mean, she naps a lot. A lot. And she is, yeah, that's good. That's really good. It's a good review. The next book is Glow of the Everflame by Penn Cole. This has a 4.39 rating on Goodreads. What? I had very little 1-star reviews to work with. This is the second book in a series. I DNF'd this book because I realized after starting it that the love interest from the first book was not the love interest going forward. I don't know. I felt like there was no reason to read the first book. I felt bamboozled, not gonna lie. The first rating. DNF at 30%. I tried. There's no improvement from the first book. There's not. Yeah. Like, at all. DNF at 62%. I really tried. Spent most of the book just rolling my eyes, being annoyed, and checking my progress so I could see how much longer until it was over. I finally just gave up. I gave up much earlier than that, but yeah. I promise no one is as utterly disappointed as I am that this did not hit. Yeah, I was pretty disappointed too. It had such good ratings and such good positive reviews, and I myself, like the premise of it all, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna love this. No, terrible. The next book is Funny Feelings by Tara DeWitt. It has a 3.83 rating on Goodreads, which is higher than I expected. It was very boring, and I just completely lost interest. It's just completely. This had all the makings of a book I'd love, but there's more chemistry between me and my bed than Farley and Meyer. Spot on. Absolutely spot on. The love interests in the book just were boring by themselves, and then they were boring together, and it all just like unfolded too fast. As the next review says, storyline moved too fast, nothing interesting happened. Was like a constant fade in and fade out of a cheesy Lifetime movie. Don't get me started on the random timeline changes. Yeah, that was annoying because it would take you a minute to realize where you were in the timeline. Like, you gotta let me know. This started off strong, and wow, was I falling asleep by the end. The story has no substance. The author forced unnecessary conflict to create meaning and fails miserably. Yeah, I would agree. I would absolutely agree. And then the last book, which is the most recent book that I have DNF'd, and if you want to know more about that, you can go watch my most recent reading vlog where I DNF this book, which is The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic by Brianne Randall. This has a 3.21 rating on Goodreads, and I would say that it is completely deserved. I DNF'd this. You could go back and watch the reading vlog, and I'll tell you where I talk all about it, but the writing was very flowery, overly poetic in a way that was just so annoying. Simile after simile after simile, over and over again, every other sentence. The characters were just very one-dimensional. There was also no physical description of the characters, so I have no idea what the hell they looked like. And the grandmother used words like pissant a lot, and it was icky. The whole book was terrible. Anyway, first one. I never write reviews, but I feel I needed to get this off my chest. This book has a super weird conservative energy for being marketed as a Gilmore Girls meets practical magic cozy read. Yes, that is another reason I DNF'd it, was the weird Christian overtones throughout the entire book. These witches went to church. They were Christian. Very odd, very strange, very not something that I want to read. I would have left Sadie too. Terrible, but true. This next review is my absolute favorite review I read while I was going through finding ones for this. So in the book, there are recipes at the end of every chapter for like one of the things that she baked within that chapter. I don't know if they actually work or not because I'm not a baker, so I couldn't tell you. But this review is in the form of a recipe, and it goes like this. Recipe for an awful book. 1 cup Gilmore Girls, but only Rory's unlikable qualities. 1 cup practical magic, minus any of the charming elements. 1 cup culturally appropriated magic, whitewashed and Christianized. 5 tablespoons bad unseasoned recipes. Full cast of deeply unlikable side characters. 7 half-baked plot lines. 1 incredibly narcissistic main character who blames everyone for everything, including leaving their small town for a while. As many nonsensical metaphors as you can possibly find for the glaze. 1 gallon of conservative ideology, including victim blaming. If you can blame a woman for being sexually assaulted, then use that. First step, preheat oven to 425. Second step, mix all ingredients and pour into a book-shaped pan. Third step, bake until it is inedible. Fourth step, glaze. Fifth step, serve to witches you're trying to convert to Christianity. Honestly, A+. 5-star review. I wish I could give the review a star rating because holy crap, best review I have ever read. Well, that is all the 1-star reviews on the books that I have DNF'd so far this year. This was surprisingly really fun and really validating. That I'm not the only one that can't finish a book or that thinks the book sucks is really enjoyable to learn. Like I said, I love these videos, and I don't know if I have the heart to do it for my favorite books. Like, I don't like it when people talk bad about the things I love as I sit here and do that about things that other people probably love. That being said, if you liked this video, if you want to see more content from me in general, then hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this video with somebody else who DNFs a lot of books and would love to read the 1-star reviews. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.